Hi everyone, this is Jim Tolles, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about forgiveness and spirituality. My initial thoughts around forgiveness, and I'll talk about in a little bit, is around spiritual awakening and how that comes into the heart, and how in expanding that space of the heart, expanding our capacity to hold love, not our capacity for love. Our capacity for love is infinite, but our capacity as human beings to hold and express love. There's a lot of forgiveness that goes with that. For anybody who's ever hurt us, and any grudges and angers and hatreds that are hiding down there, that has to be healed. And also for ourselves, that we come through a time of forgiving ourselves for things we couldn't control, and just the way things may have worked out. In any way that we're holding these issues in our hearts, we come to spaces of forgiveness. And that's one of the important tools of the spiritual path, of embodying spiritual awakening, as well as just traveling in your own life. But in particular today, especially given the tragedy that happened in Connecticut with those poor kids, it breaks your heart. You just The tragedy of it is just so terrible. But it's giving us a moment where we all need to forgive. We all need to forgive this individual who did what he did. In some way and somehow in his mind, in that unconsciousness, this seemed like an idea that he should do, and he did it. It's very easy to go into those old cycles of pain and blame, and to look for somebody to be angry at. Because he took his own life, we can't even get justice. And I'm very skeptical of human justice. Putting this man away, or this boy really, putting him away in a psychiatric institute, or sending him to jail forever, or putting him on death row if they had that in Connecticut. I don't know what they have. I don't know what the laws are. That would do nothing to bring people back. Those lives are still gone. And that's why forgiveness is so important, because that sort of justice doesn't deal with the human heart, doesn't deal with the grief that the parents and the friends and the families are having to deal with right now. And forgiveness is so important to let this person go, so that people don't carry this pain in their hearts, because pain will only create more pain. It will just sit there. It'll rot out their whole lives. This is a terrible time, right? And how we open our hearts to this time is through forgiveness, is through tears, is through grief. That brings about the natural healing process. Anybody who's got any illusions about spirituality being this constant place of eternal bliss, I think this is a great moment to be present to. Because in loving this moment and fully accepting this moment, there's just so much pain that you have to be with. And that's not the bliss type of idea that a lot of people have in the spiritual path. This is the type of stuff that people are like, whoa, let's flip the channel. Let's not pay too much attention to what's happened here. And unfortunately, we're going to flip the channel very quickly, right? Because that's what this culture does. And so already, this has dropped out of a lot of people's minds. It was something they saw or heard about on Friday or Saturday, and they've moved on. And I'm not saying that they should hold on to it. What I'm talking about is the need for healing. The need to realize what is here, to be present to what is here. Because through that, we can forgive and we can heal. And spirituality truly encompasses everything in life, and right now this is part of it. And a lot of people are going to be looking for meaning from this, and there's not going to be any. And there are different ways that we can construct things out of it to try and give us some solace, but those are ideas, and ideas are still not necessarily healing. The big question is, how is this in God's plan? But pain has always been part of this world, part of the unfolding. In many ways, it simply is. It simply is. And all we can do is accept it and to go through the grieving and the healing process that is natural to us. And so if you have been deeply touched in any way by this latest tragedy, I encourage you to go within to forgiveness, to forgive this person. And if you're really closely connected to this situation, to forgive yourself for any things that you think you should have done or could have done. This terrible thing happened. And this becomes kind of the mantra for any difficulty, because as many of you know, there have been plenty of other tragic things that people have been connected to. Plenty of hardships and difficulties, people who have endured sexual abuse and other traumas like that, people who've gone to war and have seen death or had to kill in their defense. All these different things become burdens on the heart, and only through forgiveness can we start to open ourselves up again. And the beauty of spiritual awakening is it takes us where we need to go. And this is going to be a big point for a lot of people, is going into their hearts. It may be a big sticking point because it will seem a lot easier to work out a lot of ideas in the upper energy centers, in the mind and the voice. And we could talk about these things, but once you start to get down to the heart, things get a whole other level stickier. All these emotions, because you cannot mentally control them, they just start to come up. Sadness and anger, self-loathing, all these things can hide out down there. And as this awakened energy, for those of you who are in this space of transition, as it starts to come into that space, it starts to intensify. It starts to intensify and pressure all that pain. And so if someone has done something to you, and you're still angry about it, you're going to have to let go. And to do that, forgiveness is a great tool. Whether you're writing a letter to this person, or you can record a video that you never post anywhere, or there's many ways you can talk to this person that you need to forgive. Or you may ask for forgiveness if you feel like you've wronged a lot of people. Or not a lot of people, just one person. Just reaching out. And you're not always going to like the responses you get, which is another thing the mind is trying to control, is always get a good response. It's like you may not get the response you want, but forgiveness is part of the path. And tears are often part of the path. And for those of you who aren't comfortable crying, anybody who's in awakening, you're probably going to cry quite a bit. Even if you're not, you're probably going to cry quite a bit as you release these things and you open space in your heart. Right? That's the thing. It's creating the space in your heart to fully live and to fully love. The more anger, the more grudges, the more old wounds you hold there, the less space you have to love. The more you're likely to act from spaces of pain and to attract pain into your life. Awakening is freeing your heart. We're always talking about freeing our mind and doing this with our mind. And we put the mind and the intellect on this really, really high pedestal, which is why it's so shocking to get down in here into the heart and suddenly realize it ain't all clear. And it certainly doesn't respond to all the stuff that we were doing up here that seemed to work into open space. And all that work was valuable and worthwhile. And you can suddenly feel like, oh my God, I don't feel like I've done anything. And you have. If you're here, it's a wonderful thing. If you feel like you've really worked with the headspace. Now we go down another layer. And we start, what is attention to where we need to forgive ourselves. Because there's so many ways that we're angry at ourselves. So many ways that we hate ourselves. So we come down here. We're like, all right, this is where I have to forgive myself. And so forgiveness is a powerful tool. And right now I think it's a really, really important tool to bring into your life, wherever you are and whatever is going on for you. Because in releasing that, we create space for real love in our life, to be able to share it and to receive it. And that's a beautiful thing. Once again, my name is Jim Tolles, and you can find more of my thoughts at spiritualawakeningprocess.com.